Hello, brother, and happy 2024. Happy New Year. Welcome to this episode of the Sex Upgraded podcast. My name is Taylor, and it is an honor to be here with you. This episode is going to be more personal than usual. I want to share with you some of the things I'm working on for this next year and some of the trainings that I'm going to be taking. And this is inspired in part because in 2023, I had the experience of multiple people coming up to me and saying things like, "Whoa, you're Taylor Johnson. It's so good to meet you. It feels awkward to talk to you." And I get how that can happen sometimes, especially with people with large online followings. And also, I want to be really transparent and real that I'm a normal human, just like you. And when I think back to all of the trainings I've done, all the teachers that I've studied with, one of the things I've really appreciated about some of the teachers was when they were really transparent about their own lives. Who were they studying from? What programs were they taking? What were their personal growth challenges? What were they focusing on? That sort of stuff. Whenever any of those people shared that with me, in addition to the practices that they were teaching, it helped the practices land more deeply. It helped me feel more connected with them as humans versus this strange sort of like holder of an ideology or set of practices that lacked that sort of, human connection, for lack of a better term. So I want to share with you some of those things of my life, just so we can be a little bit more connected, and in the spirit of transparency and also in the spirit of community, because we're humans on this planet growing together. And yes, while I've focused on really optimizing the realm of sex, you've really focused on something else. And so we can learn from each other. So that's the whole intro piece. First thing is that you might notice, if you're watching the YouTube version, I'm wearing a colorful jacket. And this is actually my dad's jacket from many decades ago. I've gotten the feedback from some people that, Taylor, you wear a lot of blacks and grays, and you might enjoy wearing some color, or at least it'd be fun for us to see you wearing some more color. This is from people close to me in my life. And so I thought, you know what? Why not? Let's try it. Enough people have said that to me, and I looked at my wardrobe and I'm like, yeah, that's a lot of black shirts. I'm wearing this black shirt right now. So this is an attempt, or this is a trial to wear more color, and it feels fun. It feels cool. All right. Professional trainings. That's the first category of things I want to share with you. And then I want to get into the personal growth edges after that. This year, 2024, there are 3 main trainings that I'm personally going to take. And professional development is something that's really important to me. And I think if you're somebody watching this or listening to this, you're either interested in the free stuff I put out there, or you might be interested in taking a course from me. So it's useful for you to know, or at least you might like to know, what it is that I'm studying and why. The first major training that I'm taking this year is a training that I've already been in for about a year, and it is a Somatic experiencing practitioner training. This is a 3-year program, and if you haven't heard of Somatic experiencing before, I'll see if I can do a short spiel with my basic understanding after only being in it for a year and experiencing some sessions myself. Basically, somatic experiencing is a modality where you're sitting with a person across from you. And let's say I am the client and the person is the practitioner over there. I would really tune into the physical sensations in my body and then potentially call up a challenging memory. And then I would pay very close attention to how those physical sensations might shift in my body, or how new sensations might arise. And then I would work with those sensations in specific ways to integrate the challenging experience from the past, because the fact that some physical sensations showed up or changed, or maybe a tightness occurred, it shows that there's some unresolved things there that could be resolved. That's a very short version of it. It helps resolve trauma, basically. And so how does that relate to the work that I do? Well, there's a lot of guys who experience performance anxiety, erectile dysfunction, sexual anxiety, that sort of thing. And a lot of that is actually due to some form of micro trauma from the past, some form of unresolved emotions or something like that. Trauma is basically anything that happens to your nervous system that's too much, too fast, too quickly for you to process and integrate. Therefore, it gets sort of lodged and stuck in there. So an example from my earlier life is one time I was with a girlfriend at the time, and I ejaculated very quickly. I think it was like 20 seconds after being inside her, and she looked at me and she was angry and she said, "That's it?" And that traumatized me, or I experienced trauma in that moment, or let me rephrase that. I experienced an event and emotions that became trauma that got stored in my system that impacted many of my sexual experiences going forward from that point on. And to work with that, to work with something like that with somatic experiencing could really rewire that. And I've experimented a little bit with some one-on-one clients with this who've experienced erectile dysfunction or performance anxiety, and the results they've gotten have been pretty awesome so far. And I've got 2 more years left to go. It's awesome. It's kind of like Western accepted magic, what happens there. It's truly profound work that is very subtle. And I think it's the work that many, 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 many people need. And I'm excited to be integrating it into more of what I do. The second big training that I'm going to start actually this month is I've enrolled in John Wineland's 6-month masculine, oh man, I'm totally forgetting the name of it right now. The specific wording. I think it's the Embodied Masculine Leadership Intensive. That might be the specific wording. I'll put it up on screen just so you can see it. I've really appreciated the work John Wineland has done over the years, and I've read his book. I've watched a lot of his videos. I just really resonate with a lot of the stuff that he puts out there. I don't put him personally on a pedestal, but I put the work that he does and all his assistants and all the people who go to those trainings into a certain category of I don't know what I would say. I don't know if excellence is the right word, but I put it into a category of things that I want to go into, I want to learn from. Specifically, one of the things they go into is polarity. Now, polarity is a hot ticket item for a lot of people these days, and it's really frustrating for a lot of people and really empowering for a lot of people. And outside of the terms of masculine and feminine and anything like that, one of the things I'm excited to practice and learn in that course is cultivating and sustaining sexual charge in long-term relationship. I am in a long-term relationship right now with my partner. We live together. We share some finances. We're really integrated in ways that we never have been before, and that is beautiful. I love it, and it's also brought up new challenges. So I want to go in and refine. I don't know if sharpening the sword is the right analogy for that, but I want to practice that. And I also want to be in a container, a group of other men who are really committed to living a life of excellence and really pushing their edges. I say all of that in that particular way because I've gotten some feedback from some people that say, Taylor, you shouldn't take John Wineland's program. There's lots of problems with it and all this stuff. And I, again, I'm taking it because I think I can harvest some good stuff from it. And every training I've ever done, even somatic experiencing, there has always been somebody that has come to me and said, Taylor, you don't want to do that training. That training's bad. That training's problematic. The instructor is messed up, yada, 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 for pretty much every teacher I've ever studied with. So I think that's just the reality of the world. And I do believe that it's possible to go into a training that, that may or may not be some level of excellence that you can still harvest whatever you need to harvest from it. So with the third professional training, moving on, that I'm going to, that I've also seen negative feedback about, but I've personally experienced amazing transformation with so far, is with the Strozzi Institute. They run an 8-month somatic, They run an 8-month somatic coaching program. And earlier last year, 2023, I went out and I did their initial program that's called Embodied Transformation, and it totally blew my mind. It was amazing. I had come from many years of doing a lot of really intensive sort of like loud emotional release, big sexual experiences happening, like all that kind of personal transformational growth work. And then I went to Strozzi's training. It was super subtle, focused on micro adjustments of body posture, focused on breathing, focused on how I held myself in different relationships, in different interactions with different people, and really tuning into the subtle layers that was incredibly transformational for me and really eye-opening to the world of subtle work and to the world of somatics and to the world of subtle energies. It was really profound. And I decided then that I am going to do their big training program eventually. I've already done some body-based coaching programs, and that has been a lot of the foundation of the work that I do one-on-one with guys already. But I think this Strozzi program will really take it to the next level and really provide some incredible ways for me personally to transform, but also for me to help you or whoever I work with transform in a powerful, sustainable, embodied way. I'll put links to those 3 trainings in the description of this episode and also in the description of the video if you're watching this on YouTube. And ask me any questions if you want. I'm an open book. I am really excited about these 3, and there's one more that I would like to do that I need your help with. I personally would like to study BDSM more. I've experimented with it some in my personal life, and I found it to be highly sexy and erotic and beautiful and connective and safe. And it creates this really incredible container between Dom and Sub that's it's remarkable. And it has a lot of crossover with everything I've learned in the conscious sexuality realm, the tantric, the Taoist realms. And I'd love to go deeper, but I don't know of a training that I'm excited about signing up for. So if you know of a really good BDSM training or somebody to study with, please shoot me a message or leave a comment beneath this video. I would love to dive more deeply into that realm because it is delicious so far in my personal life, at least. So yeah, thank you for that. And now I would like to share with you some of my own personal growth edges and also some of my personal interests going forward, at least related to this work. Number 1 is, and you will hear much more in depth about this next week with the next podcast that's coming out. Number 1 is I want to understand a lot more about male hormones, specifically testosterone, free testosterone, estradiol, cortisol, sex hormone binding globulin, all that kind of stuff, and its impact on our motivation, our cognition, our health, our excitement, our sexual function. That is an area that I haven't personally gone deeply into over the years that I've been doing this work. I've focused on all kinds of other stuff like techniques on how to last longer in bed, buzzword, right? How to incorporate the heart into sex, how to have these really transcendental, mystical, incredible, multi-orgasmic, spiritual, sexual experiences. All that has been awesome. And now, perhaps because I'm 38, perhaps because it's the people I'm surrounded by, the conversation of testosterone levels has started to come up more in my sphere and in my personal network. And I decided to get my levels checked a couple months ago. Got some interesting results. The conversation next week is with a urologist who specializes in male hormone optimization. And he told me that, Taylor, even though your testosterone levels are normal, they're actually low and you want them to be about double what they are. And that was like, kind of a mind-blowing, eye-opening thing to hear. So this is something that I'm personally going to investigate a lot more of over the next 6 to 12 months. And if you have any really good resources on the topic, please feel free to send them to me either in, well, I guess a comment under this video wouldn't be that great for that, but a direct email or a direct message on Instagram. I'm totally down to receive any recommendations from you. Thank you for that. Number 2, ADHD or ADD. So, excuse me, a little personal reveal. Back when I was about 19 or 20, I got diagnosed with ADHD. And I took medication for a few years, and I really didn't like the medication. I felt like it dehumanized me. I felt like it turned me into a robot. And so I was able to overcome the symptomology at the time by doing a lot of meditation and yoga and embodiment practices. And then I got off the medication and I was fine for a while. Well, for whatever reason, this past year, 2023, a lot of that came back up for me. Possibly it was because I bought a house. And that was a huge, huge, huge project with lots of emotions all over the place. I bought it with my partner. We combined finances. There's all kinds of stuff going on there. And who knows why, right? But I started to look into this because a friend of mine talked about her experiences with ADHD, and we had a conversation. And I thought, you know what? I actually feel really similar to that. So I started reading a book. I'll put it up on screen right now. It's an awesome book. I started reading some articles, started talking with my partner about this, and we found one article that had a checklist. I forget where the article is. I'm sorry I can't share it with you, but the checklist was something like, if you're a partner to somebody with ADHD, you might be experiencing this list of things. And we went through and it was, it was all the things. And yeah, it's fascinating stuff. So I'm specifically interested in the relationship of ADHD and sex and intimacy and relationships. Yes, it does affect business and life and that sort of a thing, but I've figured out how to turn my hyper focus in those realms into success. So now I want to, figure out the sex and ADHD thing. So if you have any good resources for that, please send me a recommendation as well. It's something I want to personally research a lot more for my own benefit and also for the benefit of anyone I work with. Just for a quick example as to how ADHD could show up impacting the sexual experience in my own life, say my partner and I are having sex. It's great. It's lovely. But then there's this, I don't know, maybe my foot gets caught in a blanket or something, or I hear a sound from somewhere else that's not in the room that distracts me. And for most normal people, it wouldn't really register. But for myself, somehow my brain latches onto those things and it's like gravitationally pulls me towards them and takes my attention away from the moment. And it's a monumental effort sometimes to get back to the sexual experience. Other times that's not an issue. And what's actually the issue for me is transitioning from my work mindset into the sexually connected mindset. That's a challenging thing for me. Apparently that's also challenging for a lot of people with ADHD. So going to be investigating that a lot more as well. And number 3, a personal growth edge for me for 2024 is to spend more time relaxing. That is an edge for me. A lot of times if I think about taking a nap or I think about getting a massage, the follow-up thought that's almost immediate is, well, Taylor, you could be using that time to be more productive. And what happens with that is burnout, or at least this feeling of running on empty consistently. And I'm good at that. And I'm good at going. And I can accomplish a lot of things. But in the process, I will lose some of my soul. I'll lose some of my happiness. And if you watch that video on YouTube about my testosterone levels at the end of 2023, you'll hear a little bit more of my story of that happening last year. And so a commitment to myself and a growth edge is to regularly schedule in more times to relax, more times to do fun, playful things, going to the sauna, going to the gym, getting massages, having friend dates where we just show up and play basketball together, having friend dates where we just hang out and play cards or Settlers of Catan or play whatever game. Salad Bowl is a really fun game, by the way, if you've never heard of that. I think some people also call it Poop Smoothie, which is like, why the fuck would you call that game Poop Smoothie? Anyway, circling back around, that might have been an ADHD moment. Who knows? Those are some of my personal growth areas for this next year. And coming up also, just for fun, there's a lot of cool stuff on the horizon. There's a prostate toy review that I'm going to be doing really soon in the next couple of weeks. And a very, very awesome podcast episode is coming out in a couple of weeks, all about sexual energy transmutation, specifically how to do that. And I go in depth, and I'm stoked about that. I'm stoked to share it with you. Filmed right here in this room, and the new podcast setup just over there. And finally, I have a request for you to close out this episode. I would love to hear from you. What topics would you like me to dive into? What topics would you like me to make videos about, podcasts about? Is there anybody that you would like me to interview for this podcast? I love, love, love hearing from you, and having this exchange, having this feedback from you helps keep me fired up to keep putting stuff out there into the world. You know, earlier I talked about in the spirit of community, and I really do authentically feel that. Like, yes, here I am in this room talking to a camera, but my experience right now talking to this camera is that I'm actually talking to you on the other side of this camera. Like, I actually feel that, and it feels really fucking cool. And so to keep this energetic cycle going, hearing from you would be a great gift for me. It would do a lot, and it would actually help a lot of people, because if you're having a question, I guarantee you thousands of other people are having that question as well. For example, just yesterday, I got a message from somebody who was asking me about porn, but specifically they said they were done with porn, but now they're experiencing these sexy images pop up on Instagram and their explore feed, and they're getting distracted by it there. What sort of strategies can they use to help fix that, to help not go down that rabbit hole when, for whatever reason, a woman in a thong shows up right next to the truck video on your explore page? So that's a video I'm going to do soon as well. And it's inspired by getting an email from possibly you if you're watching this video. So thank you for that. And thank you again, just for being here. It truly is an honor to share this time with you, to share this space with you. And I really appreciate you being somebody who cares about sexual wellness, sexual excellence, about living your best life. It's awesome to be here with you. Thank you. Thank you again. I look forward to hearing from you, and I hope you have a beautiful day. I'll see you next time.